Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. We are giving out grades today, the halfway grades. We did this episode last year, and, I feel like this can be a generic thing. We found our lane with it. We graded on a curve last year. That means so many A's, so many F's that you have to sort it out. Last year I went through some of my grading troubles, and we'll touch upon them along the way. But a good way to see how your team's first half went, and I'm not going to chop up. I'm not going to lose the last 6 games, although that would affect a couple teams' grades potentially. I'm doing it as of Wednesday, July 9th, and this is going to be a great test for the Baker crowd because last year we did this episode, really well liked. Couple differences. Trevor Plouffe was there in person. I know he moves the needle, but how much? It was funny looking at last year's episode and some of the comments on there. Foolish Bailey crushed it. Number 1 comment said, "Damn, I look different in this one." He sure did. There was a BBD jump scare camera that was happening intermittently because we were at the All-Star game. So we had a weird setup going on, a unique setup, I'll say. And yeah, we'll let you guys know what's going on with Talkin Jake next week. We're supposed to clear the schedule. Do we pre-record something? I don't know. We'll get there. But right now you're getting grades. And it was interesting to see, one of the comments, it's good to know the Braves' worst is still a top wild card team. How the turntables. Trev cooked this episode. What? It must be his burner. And then someone else said that Bye Jake is my favorite Jake. So we'll touch upon that. I don't know, kind of throughout every episode. So let's get into it. And I was excited to see, okay, what did we do last year? How do we divvy up these numbers? Was it 1A? Was it 1F? Impossible. We did pretty good at IMO. 3 A's, 3 F's. 3 B's, 7 B's, 7 D's. So 10 and 10 is another way your brain could chop that up. And then 10 C's. So all 30 teams will get their grade in. There's a couple easy ones per usual. I'll hop over the map. And I think for the YouTube community, we'll get the tier list up with A, B, C, D, and F, which a reminder, what happened to E? What's the story behind that? Do you know? Does anyone know? I mean, it's got to be easily Googleable, right? BBD's on that right now. We will get into the first half grades right now. I had A gets really interesting. What'd they say, Beebs?
I mean, and this is, of course, the Google AI, which is undefeated. Right. The letter E is not typically included in the standard A to F grading system used in most U.S. schools because it was historically confused with the meaning of excellent by students and parents.
How about that?
Even though it initially represented a failing grade.
Do we still have that? I don't think so. I think if we needed to get E in the mix, we could. Just goes to show how easily we can accept things sometimes. The National League, the pitcher used to hit. Anyways, let's give out some grades. And it gets tough because A. Who gets the number 1A? If we were like sorting these out, this was doctors or something. Who's the best? And there's a couple teams that come to the forefront. Obviously, I'll rattle off. And it should be as obvious as, a lot of the division leaders, in the NL. The Cubs, the Dodgers, Mets and Phillies tied as of today. Marlins third place. What's that mean? Nothing. The Toronto Blue Jays are our first place team. That piqued my interest. So are the Houston Astros. We can only give out 3 A's. I think the number 1 A+ A team, their expectations coming into the year, into what the year has become, I think it's the Detroit Tigers. The Kitties from Detroit casually on a 5-game win streak right now. A 14-game lead in the division. You could have come into this season and said, hey, I think the Tigers could finish 4th. The Royals, the Twins, the Guardians. It felt like they were all this hodgepodge. Cleveland with good history. Minnesota kind of with the talent on paper. Royce Lewis, what is he? He's had a tough year. It felt like one of these teams was going to take a jump. It turned out it was Detroit. And the contributions all over the field. What if I told you Javi Baez is an all-star starter? If you told me that before the start of the season, it's laughed out of the room.
It wasn't like
it's not a take. It's not a take.
It wasn't the Royals fans getting Omar Infante in there.
Like if Stephen A. Smith before the season said that, people would have killed Stephen A. Smith and would have said, this is bad ESPN hot take. No, Javi Baez is a starting all-star. He's been a great contributing player. Zach McKinstry, man, the throw he made last night, if you haven't seen it, bring up the YouTube machine at work today because that's an incredible play. Detroit has been fantastic. Spencer Torkelson, we've talked about. He didn't know if he was going to be on this team along with Baez. He's been great. Riley Green and Skubal are their stars. Skubal has an argument for best pitcher in the world. Riley Green has been fantastic for him. Their whole lineup is hitting. The Glaber signing has been great. The Tigers that have been critiqued for their hitting, they can put a lineup out there of all 100 OPS plus people. And that's not what you think. Look at this by Zach McKinstry. How's your whirly bird? Little single to right. Where's the throw going? Wait, they cut to home. Boom. Meet at third. And there's Javi Baez with the tag. So the Tiger season, the Casey Mize breakout that has happened, 15 starts, a 2.63 for Casey Mize. I think of all the A's, I think the Tigers are the number one A. And that number one A was brought to you by TaskRabbit. What? Yeah. New friends, people. TaskRabbit. Summer's here, which means you should be spending your time doing summer things. Weekend getaways, beach days, whatever you want. So if you got to put together a patio set, grouting tutorial, those are words that don't even get to me because I know and I use TaskRabbit. I don't even know if our friends know this yet. Every time I've moved, I've lived in 3 New York City apartments. I've got a couple big mirrors, TV, that it's like, okay, I'm moving apartments. This is stressful enough. So now I'm just going to add the most stressful things, hanging these. One mirror is just massive. There's no way I'm hanging that. And making it level, 0 chance. That's why you get a TaskRabbit. Help yourself. Bring in a TaskRabbit. And how about this? To help you tackle your to-do list today, 15% off your first TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit.com or download the app. It's a good app. It's a good app. Promo code BAKERS. That's right. Promo code BAKERS at TaskRabbit.com. 15% off your task. If there's a task you're dreading, go check out TaskRabbit. Because usually it's helpful people that they might look around your apartment and be like, I can fix that. And then life gets really good. So go check out TaskRabbit. I've used it every time I've moved. Boom. That's not even part of it. All right. Let's, I want to do this in Jake fashion a little bit because I'm not ready to clear the A's. How about this? Let's jump to C. What do I think is the most C grade of this season? If I look at the standings, and again, today is an interesting day to do it. Like my Red Sox are on a 5-game win streak, 8-2 in their last 10. Where would they have been a week ago? In my head, am I assuming they are a C? Texas Rangers, could they be a C? You know what? I'm just going to play to the damn logo and find out if I'm wrong in a little bit. The Cincinnati Reds, the team that used to excite me the most. I think they're a C. They're 500. They're a team that gets hurt by doing this not 4 days ago because they're on a 4-game losing streak. they've got their young talent. They've made some moves. They're 500. It's not disappointing. It's not exciting. Again, depending which week you do it with this team, you could get a slightly different answer. I'm going to go throw the C's on the C and see what happens the rest of the way. F Rockies. Did you know the Rockies are on pace for 37 wins? 37 wins. That is despicable. Easily on pace for the worst ever. I hope things start getting loud in Colorado. Here's a run differential for you. Minus 243. Minus 243.
We're only midway there.
The White Sox, who are 30-62, are minus 93. Like, think about just the different level of baseball that is between the two worst teams in the league. Colorado is at a level of historically bad that I don't think they could have dreamt of.
Did you, by chance, just leak that the White Sox belong in F2? Are we allowed to jump there? Or are we holding off?
You could throw them on. It's always the tricky thing where it's like you shouldn't talk about the fully bad. You should probably talk about the good. So I should stop playing dumb Jake games here and let's go back to the top. I laid out the candidates before. Someone is going to get hurt in this because there's first place teams that aren't going to make the list. And if you're a first place team, in theory, that's an A. And that's the whole exercise, people. Welcome to Wake and Jake. Thank you for subscribing. 30 plus K. I think we're at 30.2 right now. We're churning. So we appreciate you guys. Every little thing, every comment, every subscription, everything helps. So we appreciate you guys so much. There was a chance I was going to go All-American League in the A's. Because I think Detroit has a great argument. They're already on the board. Houston, I think they have an argument. Second best record in the American League. They almost get hurt by what their expectation should be. Houston kind of expects to be in first place year in, year out. They expect to win World Series. I know the rest of us fully don't think that because a lot of the names that did it aren't still there. But their expectations are there, and they're having what is now becoming an amazing season. And Jose Altuve is starting to go off, by the way. They're without Yordan. Cam Smith is hitting like 380 the past month. The prospect they got for Tucker, not Paredes, who's been great this year. The rookie prospect has started to go off for them. They have a great argument. I couldn't go all AL because Toronto, and this is where I'll go. Toronto has to be on there. The Toronto Blue Jays are in first place of the AL East. Again, what would have happened 10 days ago? That's none of our business right now because they might go undefeated into the break. Their schedule right now, Toronto, who is 1-10 in a row, they have one more game with the White Sox and then 3 at the Athletics, who every time we do a list, they seem to be at the bottom of it. The Toronto Blue Jays offense has become a top 10 offense. The Toronto Blue Jays bullpen has been a top 10 bullpen. And when you look at it on paper, I think their rotation could arguably the most exciting thing about the team, whether it's Gossman, Barrios, Bassett, Scherzer, Eric Lauer power twirling the pill for them as well. I've given my Blue Jays speech a lot. They came into the season with potentially the story of right now being which team will Vladdy get traded to. They locked up Vladdy. $500 million. Let's see how it ages. Don't care right now because the Blue Jays are in first place. They made some strategic moves in the offseason. Not all that have paid off. Santander, a move I loved, has kind of been bad and then hurt for them. Jimenez, he fields when he's out there. He got off to a hot start. The stick left him a little bit, as it has per usual. But Ernie Clement, Addison Barger, and then George Springer's revitalization has been massive for this team that has them first place amongst the Yankees, who had a great start to the season. The Red Sox, who are now 3 games above 500 and were kind of the sneaky favorite in the American League after the offseason. The Red Sox won the offseason. How about that? And then the Rays are also above 500. That if I had told you all this, what would you have thought for the Blue Jays? If I told you the Yankees were having a good season, the Rays were having a good season, and the Red Sox were above 500, and I said you could either pick the Blue Jays for first place or last place, which would you have picked before the season? I think last. I think that's just honest. They're in first place in the American League East. They've got the juice. It's a different guy every night. Nathan Lucas turning on balls. I couldn't not give the Blue Jays an A between expectations and where they are right now. Congrats, Toronto. Not a lot of A's in Toronto. So I have one more spot, and this was brutal because it's Cubs or Astros for me. The Dodgers, the expectation is high. This was supposed to be a record historical, right? Like this team before the season, we were talking 116 regular season wins. That hasn't happened. Let's put the Dodgers on that B line. I think people understand why. I don't.
They might be the top B.
Could be. Again, it depends.
Case.
If you start grading from expectation, whatever it is, the Dodgers they've been the Dodgers, and they shouldn't be penalized for that. But the injuries have been insane. They're on a little bit of a losing streak. Are they on an L5 right now? Sure are. A plus 67 run differential. That's the same as the Brewers. Like the Dodgers, for the Dodgers to get an A this year, they probably would have had to have the best record. They'd have to feel dominant. Again, they're not far off from that. They still have the best record in the National League, which that's pretty insane. But for what their expectation was, and that's how I grade, they're going to be. So the two teams that really came down to for me, I'll throw in the Mets. But the way I just said that, they're not getting it.
Yeah,
so that's
long
tough.
Enough bad stretch that
It's tough. I'm sorry, Mets. Again, preseason expectations. I've decided to go Cubs over the Astros. The Cubbies for me, which, again, let's see what happens because Milwaukee is charging. I think they're like 28-12 in their last handful of games. Jacob Mizorowski is taking the world by storm, the young starting pitcher. Brandon Woodruff is back, who's been one of the best pitchers of the 2020s. Like, Milwaukee is loading up. But the Cubs are 2.5 games ahead of them, and they've been ahead all year. And they feel great. Like, they have the best run differential in the American League. They traded for Kyle Tucker. The PCA trade. Ask Mets fans how they're feeling about that now. Like, the Cubs lineup is nasty, and they pitch. Like, they pitch really well. It's not the flashiest group of names, and if I expect them to add, I lean pitching over that third base spot, although if they were to get an Eugenio Suarez or someone of that nature, their lineup is top to bottom, soup to nuts, farm to table, amazing. The Cubs have been one of the stories of this first half. I think they deserve the A. They haven't had this. They've gotten off to good starts, and they've lost them, which let's see how some of these upcoming Milwaukee series come when they do. I do think the Cardinals are going to start to drift further and further back. And like I said, Cincinnati at 500, I don't know what you can do with that. So the 3 A's, Detroit, Toronto, and the Chicago Cubs. Congrats to those teams on how they've played this year compared to their expectations or what could have been the start of their season. Remember the Cubs starting in Japan and everyone had to defend them? And they were back on the West Coast. That all worked out because their team is really, really good. So that currently has the Dodgers and the Houston Astros on the B line. I only have 7 Bs, so this is going to sting, huh? I guess the other team that I just threw in the A ring was the New York Mets. The Mets between the Phillies and the Braves, which I just did my first head tilt thinking about that F line. The Phillies are the Phillies. They've remained the Phillies. They have to end up on this B line. So I think we can just do that transaction now. They are tied with the Mets for first place. When we were doing the National League crunch before the season, and it was like, how many teams are going to make the postseason? You got to factor in the Braves and the Phillies. Braves, if we just alluded to, looking like they're out. Someone's going to win the Central, and now it's looking like the Central could be a two-bid division, and it could just be 2-2-2. 2 East, 2 Central, 2 West. That'd be fun. I pose the question, is this the dream National League playoff scenario with the new wild card? A team from each division, like one team is going to be left out. Interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, we still got a lot of baseball to be played. The Mets and the Phillies both have to be on that B line. The Mets start off gangbusters. They're this pitching factory. That is starting to be tested a little bit. They're starting to really get in their depth on that, and a ton of injuries. And meanwhile, the ho-hum Phillies are 14 games above 500, tied for first place. They feel like the same team. They did have a slow second half last year, which, again, you don't remember if you don't remember, because that's a team that gets judged come postseason time. So I think Dodgers, Houston, Mets, and Phillies are easily on that B line. Houston probably the one I feel the worst about because they are starting to become dominant again. Holy smokes, how do you not put the Giants on this line?
Yeah, they're the next team I think of, especially when you factor in expectations, what their division is, all of that. Like,
got Rafael Devers.
They feel like an easy B for me.
That helps. The W4 the last week sneaky helps too. This is where baseball is a silly sport sometimes. They're second place. This West, when I talked about the NL playoff picture, Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Snakes. The Giants were the popular odd man out, right? It was like, okay. I don't want to say they became laughable, but it was, okay, so they've spent their money on Matt Chapman, Jung-Hoo Lee. Okay, we're happy that they've locked up some players, and Robbie Ray's getting paid rail money. Oh, yeah, they traded for him a couple years ago. Robbie Ray's been great. Love that. Love that for my Giants fans. They are second place in what was looking like one of the nastiest divisions ever, the NL West. And they snagged that Devers guy along the way, which a trade I still like for them. Holy smokes. Dodgers, Astros, Mets, Phillies, Giants on the 2 line. So I have one AL team. Whew, boy, there's a team whose fan base I'm highly connected to that will be very mad if they end up on the C line. Let's talk through this a little bit. Standings-wise, God, Milwaukee has a great argument. They've been awesome for a little bit now. San Diego is a game back of San Francisco, so are they just getting hurt by expectations? A little bit, and that's kind of how the world works. The Mariners have been good, 48 and 43. Nobody in the Central, so I'm okay with that. So who are we down to? We're down to the Yankees, the Rays.
Yankees, Rays, Brewers.
Yankees, Rays, Mariners, Brewers. Padres, I'm kind of lying about.
There's probably some level of an outside argument for Boston, but you can't put them over either of the other AL East teams that they're behind. Traded away Devers.
So I guess if I'm doing this, and it's expectation-based, my Yankees would very much get hurt. I mean, as of today, would the Rays be in the playoffs? They would. They would. They're a game and a half up on Boston, half game up on Seattle. I think it's Brewers-Rays. I think it's Brewers-Rays. I do. Tampa, nobody knew what this season had in store for them. They were playing at not their field. What's that about? The Tampa Bay Rays pitching has been back to Rays pitching. Their starters are third in WHIP. Their bullpen has some good numbers there. They're actually limping a little bit into the All-Star break as they're juggling some arms. Their offense, and that's the surprise, 7th in runs scored out of your Tampa Bay Rays. The Junior Caminero breakout has happened. He is an all-star. Good for him. Jonathan Aranda, Brandon Lowe has gone nuts. Yandy Diaz. With some other guys. Ha-Sung Kim just came back for them. Chandler Simpson's back up. Like, they have options to click offensively, which normally they don't always have, where their rotation has been very solid. They've got options in the bullpen. Let's see what it looks like the rest of the way for the Rays, but how could you... I can't give them a C. The Rays are in the playoffs as of today, and the same goes for the Milwaukee Brewers. They are hard charging behind the Chicago Cubbies. That if that becomes a race in the Central this year, that is going to be electric. Craig Counsell, Pat Murphy, buckle up for that. 26-12 in their last 38. Mizorowski, who looks like a super prospect, is on the team. What I said about Woodruff before. Did you know the Milwaukee Brewers offense, although not a lot of flashy stats, they're 8th in runs. So it's not like they ain't scoring. And they can throw the hell out of the ball, whether on the front end or the back end. Freddie Peralta's having a great year. The crew is here. They've been fantastic for a month and a half to get them back on this line this season. But the Brew Crew is going to be in line to potentially win the Central after losing Willie Adames and Corbin Burns the year before. And these Brewers have to operate differently, winning a lot of damn ball games. A lot of damn ball games. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. All right. Let's eat the bug here as BBD has put the Yankees on the C line. My God, Cincinnati, watch out. That anticipatory C before. That was like, who does that a lot? Is that Bleacher Report who does the Instagram swipes that's like, check out this top 30 list, and it gives you like 21, 15, and 7? Is that them who does that? It gets me sometimes.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Cincy, I don't know if you're staying. We'll see. The Yankees, is this right, BBD? Is this me fading ourselves too much? Is this too much recency bias?
I think it is right. ESPN did their report card article today. The Yankees got a C on that.
Really?
So at least everywhere else I've looked, one other place, had them as a C.
Worldwide leader. The
fact that it all comes as it's gotten warm in the summer swoon.
Right.
It's almost they get negative points for it being all kind of in one period.
Being
because
similar.
It's the same as the issues we've had with the team for 3-4 years now.
Yeah, we're a little too close to the sun here, because if I was just looking at paper, I would tell you their starting pitching has some really strong numbers, including 2nd in WHIP. That's pretty good. 1st in hits allowed. Hits per 9, excuse me. Their offense is 1st in OPS, 1st in on-base, 1st in homers. That feels like the Yankees, right? They have had their recent decline that has them 2nd in the East. They're still positioned well. Let's see how this week finishes out with Seattle and the Cubs. I guess expectations have become a big part of this, which I'm a big expectations person in life. If you go to see a movie and someone tells you it's the best movie ever made, Tropic Thunder for me. It had all my favorite stars at the time. I was like, Tropic Thunder is going to be the best movie ever made. Saw it in theaters. Walked away kind of like, oh, it wasn't the best movie ever made. I am adding it to my watch list soon, because I do think if I rewatch that, I'm going to chuckle pretty damn good. But the expectation was through the moon. Meanwhile, you go into a movie with no expectations. The one for me was Semi-Pro, Will Ferrell. I had one buddy that told me Semi-Pro just like wasn't funny, so I didn't watch it. I watched it the first time, lost it. There are so many good jokes in that movie. Peak Will Ferrell, and so many of the other role characters. Will Arnett in that movie is hysterical. So a little movie talk midway through this. The Yankees go on the second line, and if anything else for this point, it's to pair them up with the Mariners and just have instant defense against their fans. God, both of these teams are getting hurt by the curve. If we're being honest, both those teams should be Bs. The Mariners are in playoff position. Cal Raleigh is happening. Their offense has a little bit of juice while still having their pitching. They did get chased down by Houston, and Houston is now kind of running away with it. I guess that's the other thing I should throw out here with the Mariners. The Mariners are a day away from being out of the playoffs. The Red Sox are a game back. The Yankees, they're 3 games. But I don't know. In a way, if how the Yankees started this year, if they end up in the wild card, that would be a significant disappointment. So Yankees and Mariners get horribly burnt by the curve here, and 2 fan bases that this graphic should be awesome for. My God. Comments off. I guess, Beebs, if you look at, let's say the Mariners and Yankees, let's say they have the exact same argument. I know they don't, but hey, Cal and Judge, each team pitches a little bit, whatever. If you had to take a team off of the B line, who would it be? Who would it be? It's a little joke. Is it the Rays?
It feels incredibly rude to the Rays, but vibes-wise, kind of yes.
Yeah.
Because the Rays are sort of permanently in a C vibes-wise for neutral fans.
Yeah,
So
I think
Brewers had like that slow start that sucked, but that ultimately that was a bad week, and they've been just really good the rest of the weeks.
Pat Murphy screamed at him, and it worked.
12 games over. I can't knock them down.
Yeah, and I guess the other argument for the Yankees and the Mariners is that both of them were in positions this season to do more. Like, the Yankees shouldn't even be in this conversation. If they don't have a horrible month, last month,
they're a relaxing B.
Like,
they're the first team we just put in B and move on.
If the Yankees went 2 games under 500 the last month, they'd be an easy B. So maybe that's where they deserve it. And that's me being the teacher telling the parents, hey, all they had to do was this. But Jake didn't do his homework. God, I tell you, I think my homework grades / percentages would really disappoint people even today. Like someone that would be like, hey, Jake, company's in a really cool spot. You've done pretty good for yourself. I think people would be really disappointed at how little homework I did. I'm not saying it in a cool way. I don't even know what was going through my head. Like, I used to have it out in front of me and watch Yankee games. So for my mom, that was a huge win. The kid has his homework out in front of him for 3 hours, and he's kind of watching TV, so he's distracted.
Yeah.
Perfect transaction.
How could she not be just happy with that setup?
Feed the boy at 6. Let him go do that. I'm good. I guess I just didn't do it. Or did it very poorly. Like the effort that was going into that. Yet here I am a couple decades later doing Baseball Reference Jeopardy and knowing who a Rubio Durazo is just by looking at numbers. So maybe things work out in this life. Maybe that's the story. Anyways, Yankees in Seattle go on the C row as of now. As I look at the remaining teams, I think there's only one team that has good-ish energy amongst this crew, and I think it's the Boston Red Sox, right?
Yeah,
and again, we're 4 days away from that not being true.
They're a team that good week, bad week away from their fan base telling us a different level, but I think that's what makes them a C team.
I think they're here. Fourth place is kind of crazy in the AL East when you do look at it like that, but they have one more game with Colorado tonight that I'm going to tell you, spoiler, they're going to win by a lot. I guess it's the ultimate test of the baseball gods. Lucas Giolito, who's been on a heater, versus Antonio Senzatella, who's been one of the worst pitchers in baseball, as the Red Sox have been destroying the Rockies. The Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays play 4 heading into the All-Star break. There's a couple good series this weekend. I know we all watch our teams, so it's tough to watch a lot of other baseball. I think the Dodgers and Giants play this weekend. Rays Red Sox is a fun one. Where were you for Crochet versus Baz on Saturday? Baz, excuse me. Hey, Red Sox are in the mix. They've called up top prospects. I don't need to run through the Devers thing. If this was a couple days ago, maybe it's a different argument. They're in the mix for the playoffs this season. I think they're going to get more in the mix that they end up on the C row. Do you see another team that the vibes are good?
Vibes good is an interesting way to try to think about it. It does just feel like among the teams here, San Diego,
yes,
get just on there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
their
my
fan
bad.
base is probably mildly disappointed with where they're at, but
they're good. I mean,
they're 7 games over. They are a good team.
They are a game out of the playoffs as of today. But I don't know. This is a Padres team toe-to-toe with the Dodgers. Could they compete for the division? They got the hot start they got off to. That's been gone for a little bit. They've been an under 500 baseball team. If you take out the first 2 weeks of the season, the way the sheet was set up, I couldn't see them. So that's on my eyeballs. And that's where the St. Louis Cardinals absolutely deserve to be on this line. St. Louis they're 49-43. This was a team that the only free agent they signed was Phil Maton, who had been great for them. That Nolan Arenado was traded. He declined it. That everything told us the Cardinals with a GM for the coming out, the GM for the coming in, no free agents. Everything told us this was going to be a weird summer in St. Louis. I'm not saying it's still not going to be. They're 49-43. They've been in the dance for a lot of this season. They're still very much in the mix. They have a positive run differential. I mean, they're playing Washington coming up, who they're bad. They just fired everyone. But yeah, St. Louis absolutely deserves to be a C, if not better. Honestly, this makes me feel better. Can we move Cincinnati to the end at least?
Definitely.
Because seeing the Yankees, the Mariners, the Red Sox, and the Padres, that makes that group feel a lot better.
Seems just a tough tone for the start.
Again,
the Reds are tough tone for the start of C tier.
That was a straight guess at the top of the episode. And I think it's still going to work, but let's see. Because the rest of this is brought to you by Cushy Dreams. The best in legal cannabis just got better. Our friends at Cushy Dreams, they've been with us since the Bronx office. That's how you know they're real. And if you use code JOHNBOY at cushydreams.com, JOHNBOY, 20% off everything in the shop. I cannot recommend enough the D9 gummies. We indulge a bit when we do our JJTV. A new episode of Super Seducer out today. For some of you, that means the world. For some of you don't know what that means. Here's what I'll tell you. Get your Cushy Dreams. Use code JOHNBOY. 20% off. Gummies, smokable, everything in the store. Go watch the Super Seducer episode, and you'll laugh. You might be a little scared. You might get a little emotional. But that's That's the good stuff. So go check out Cushy Dreams. They've got everything available. Presenting sponsor of Wake and Jake. That just makes sense, people. All right, so we currently have 6 in the C row, which means with our bell curve, we have room for 4 more teams. I think I have my next on the list. I think it's the Angels.
I was going to ask about them. I think they're like 500-ish. Don't know exactly where they're at today.
They're currently in week-by-week mode as well. But as of a week ago, they were a game out of the postseason. They've got Texas and Arizona to finish it out. None of their numbers as a team are impressive. But Joe Adell has broken out that they've been waiting for. Kikuchi, which everyone just assumed when he signed with the Halos was going to be an awful signing. He has been great. The Halos have been around 500 all year. And if I told you right now, at the beginning of the season, if I brainwash you and I said, guess what? Angels are the second worst team in baseball. Would you believe me? Yeah. Yeah. Instead, they haven't been. They've been around the Boston Red Sox and the Texas Rangers, 2 teams with massive payrolls that they were not supposed to be near this year. So, hey, congrats to the Angels, the small victories. Which brings up a few interesting teams. What do you do with the Rangers and the Diamondbacks? Our World Series teams from 2023. God, this is interesting because these are teams that had World Series aspirations, 2 teams that are currently between buying and selling and haven't really inspired a move in either direction. The Texas Rangers are 3.5 games out of the wild card. They do have a positive run differential. Their pitching has been special. Their pitching has been nothing. The Diamondbacks are now below 500, a +2 run differential, and they are 5.5 games out of the wild card. So if I'm seeding those 2, the Texas Rangers would be above them.
Mm-hmm. The Rangers have 1 team between them and a playoff spot. The Diamondbacks have, I believe, 3 or 4, 3 at this second.
Yeah. I'm gonna collect myself. I think it's time to reverse engineer this the Storielli way. Can you put the Braves on the bottom line?
Yep.
I mean, for how disappointing they have been, the Marlins are ahead of them. It's July 9th. The Marlins aren't like a half game ahead. The Marlins are 3 games ahead of the Atlanta Braves. It's the Rockies, the Nats, the Pirates, and the Braves. The Braves are supposed to be on dynasty mode. They signed everyone, remember? Austin Riley, boom. Michael Harris, too, who, it's kind of this weird thing in baseball. Should you re-sign everyone? Like, the Braves may become an interesting case study the other direction. Losing Max Fried, who has been the best pitcher by ERA in the 2020s, seems to have hurt. They've dealt with injuries. I guess the biggest thing they have is, like, no one's living up. George Springer is playing above his skis this year. Like, George Springer has been on a bell curve of his career. He's on the way down. He has broken the curve this first half. He has been an absolute baller. Which Brave has done that? There hasn't been a guy. Like, look at Austin Riley's stats the past year and a half. It's just kind of flat. Matty Olson has these stretches where he goes, but he hasn't been gangbuster since he has been. Ozzie Albies, no. Michael Harris, a negative. Big time at the plate. Let's get some Brave stats. Let's get some Brave stats. What do your eyes see, BBD?
Yeah, I mean, Acuna missed a lot of time, but he has been really
He
good
has been
since
playing
coming
great.
back.
Yes.
Drake Baldwin has been really good. He's very impressive as a young ball player to a level where, like, some people looking for what is the Braves sell-off move, and Sean Murphy is being talked about by at least the reporters out there.
Can I say something? I threw out a Sean Murphy potential trade block early, and Braves fan hated it. They still do, by the way, and maybe they're right. I don't know, but you
Probably
do,
like having both of the good
you do
catchers.
have Drake Murphy, and if you could trade, and what do you get back? This is again earmuffs for most people. I had some Yankee daydreams.
I thought about it a little this morning, and it like kind of doesn't make sense just because like
No,
how is that the chip the Yankees cash in? But I did think about him on the Yankees this morning.
a 6-hole righty power hitter. That's kind of what the Yankees are looking for. Anyways, that was Yankee bullshit, and I admit that, and I'm gonna wear that. The Braves.
Nick Allen is their listed shortstop. Okay,
I think he made a nice play the other day, but that's irrelevant.
That's all he does.
That's irrelevant. Whether it was playing at their negatives or have been so negative, Verdugo, Michael Harris with a 552 OPS. No one is going carry mode. Matt Olson's numbers are starting to get there. Ronnie, since he's played, which is 40 games. But since Ronald Acuna has come back, has anything changed? Has it felt different? I think the losing's gone up. Very weird times. Very weird. Like, what are the next steps for the Atlanta Braves? They are selling at this deadline. Baseball Reference gives them a 0.6% chance to make the postseason. I'm going to report it's not happening. And I have to think this is the last year of Snitker. Braves fans, let us know.
They kind of don't have room to make any other like major shuffles.
That's the thing. That's where the case study turned really quickly from Braves dynasty to like, should you not sign all of your players? Because shit happens in baseball.
Once more than like one starts kind of... You can eat like one of those not working out so good. Once you get more that are flatlining.
Do the Orioles deserve an F? We currently have the F row filled out because
I'm very open to promoting the White Sox because
I think so.
Nothing matters.
The White Sox had no expectations. They are bad. The Rockies are overshadowing how bad they are by miles. Have the White Sox technically improved from last year? I mean, that's a miserable game to play. But I guess we're just in an interesting period with the Baltimore Orioles because they have been playing better baseball. And I guess that's what feels different from the Atlanta Braves, is that the Orioles, God, I don't know. It's White Sox, Athletics, Orioles. They're 40-50. The Braves are 39-51. No, the Orioles are a failure. A failure. I don't know what Adley is anymore. I know he had his first IL stint. And Baltimore, I know you guys had a good month of July, and you're having a good month of June to start. So I hope everything changes. But I also just don't know. 16-11 in June, 3-3 in July. They became one of my late favorites in the AL, so maybe I'm the spurned ex-girlfriend here. But Baltimore is supposed to be in their These are two teams, the Braves and the Orioles, that are supposed to be in their window. I mean, Braves, you could throw out the D word because they won one and people thought they were going to continue to win them. Orioles, I mean, it just felt like the rebuild was complete, and they have a team, and they have more prospects on the way, and they have depth, and they made the Burns trade. They traded for Trevor Rogers, which now is starting to pay off. He's looked good in his return to Baltimore. 10 games below 500, the third worst team in the AL. They have to be on the bottom row. The two biggest disappointments in baseball are the Braves and the Orioles, and then the Rockies are just kind of this kicker of a franchise that doesn't prioritize baseball. And that's why they are on a historically bad season. So good news for the White Sox and the Athletics.
And the Pirates. So you get thrown into that group.
And the Pirates, they get a D. That's crazy.
And I guess while we're here, Nationals, you too.
Nationals, there's no argument. They just fired everyone. They have a couple good guys, and everyone else is not. Okay, so let's see. Reverse engineering this. I'd say Cleveland's next up on the D list.
I don't see how you cannot.
They are... It got so bad so quick for a franchise that hasn't been that. They just won 2 in a row after losing 10. 42 and 48. Their Pythagorean theorem is worse than that, which means they have a horrible run differential. It felt like for years we just did I don't know with Cleveland. They pitch. They play good defense. It's not happening. Easy D.
So we have 2 more D spots, 3 more C spots. And we can, of course, reshuffle the deck a little.
Right. So remaining on the page, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, the Royals, the Twins, and the Texas Rangers. Now, this is where expectation versus reality versus how are these teams going to go the rest of the way. Let's see. If I had to... are the Marlins a C?
Yeah, just because they had a reasonable chance coming into this year of being the worst team in baseball, and they decidedly won't be.
Sandy's back. Yuri's back. I know their starting pitching hasn't been strong. They have a couple position players now between Stowers, Augustine Ramirez, Edwards, and Otto Lopez. Like Liam Hicks, what he was doing as a young catcher for a little bit. Yes. The third place Marlins. Yes. That being said, please trade everyone.
Trade all the guys that aren't promising young pieces that you will trade in 2 more years.
Anthony Bender, Lake Bachar. I'm not familiar with your game, but he's having a nice little season. Hey, congrats to the Marlins, who have some young talent on the Major League roster and are third place in what was supposed to be a nasty NL East. Got some Nats people fired and probably about to get some Braves people fired. So I have the 2 Central teams, the Royals and the Twins. I have the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rangers and Diamondbacks were supposed to have big years, kind of bounce back from World Series hangovers. The Diamondbacks, the conversation all year is who are they going to trade for? The Rangers are positioned better because it's the American League, and I know I have a little bit of Rangers fever still so far. Did I lean putting them in the C column?
I think of these 4 teams, they're the one I'm most inclined to put in C.
They're 3.5 games out of the playoffs compared to the Diamondbacks 5.5 games back. Like you said, the Texas Rangers, it's the Red Sox and then the Mariners for the wild card, so they haven't really been in the week-to-week game, but they're positioned to be. Run differential likes them. Their pitching has been so good that I just wonder if that offensive light bulb goes off, if they could draw comparisons to the 21 Braves, who when their offense kicked in and they had that hodgepodge deadline of outfielders, it turned around the whole team, that it feels like Texas is just ready to burst at the seams.
With them, I know we did the trade deadline expectations one, and we talked about what if they did Josh Young, and what if they did XYZ. But they're not a team on here that it feels like there's any chance of just moving everybody movable.
Right.
And the other 3 teams have that on the table.
So we have one more spot in the C column. The Diamondbacks, the Royals, or the Twins. Whew, Nelly, Nelly, Nelly. The Royals and Twins, by record, are the same. Royals have one more win and one more loss. Twins, I guess that's explanatory. The Diamondbacks are 45 and 47, the same as the Texas Rangers, and a half game ahead of the Minnesota Twins. I'll be honest, I think the Snakes have to go on the D-line, which, again, they get hit by circumstance of their division and expectations, but everyone thought there was a chance the Diamondbacks could be a power. Corbin Burns? Like, Erod was back. This pitching was supposed to be compete and potentially elite. I know their ballpark can sometimes hurt them there. 24th in starting pitching ERA, and their bullpen's been even worse than that. So you've got a bottom 5 pitching staff with what's been a top 5 offense, and that's the part that makes it sting, that you just wonder, are they going to be able to find a hot streak before the trade deadline that doesn't make them sell? And as we've talked about for weeks, their front office has their contracts. If they're in position to sell, I think they're going to have to. And they haven't shown that they're going to turn it around. They'll have about 2 weeks after the deadline or after the All-Star break. And they haven't shown it. That it's been a very disappointing season. Like, they're a team that if everything went right, we should be talking about them on the A row. Like, for what their offense can and should be and kind of is, that they're pitching and the injuries. I think they're a D. So now I've got to pick between the Royals and the Twins. My God.
Who have the same record.
So mid. Put the Twins on C. Their expectations have been down. The Royals were exciting coming into this year. I don't believe in it, really. The Royals had a bad start. The Royals had a good start, and they've been bad for a while now. They win by expectations. The Royals were supposed to be in their new era of Royals baseball, and it just hasn't happened. So you could flip those all day, and I think the truth is, Stephen A. Smith, we don't care. We don't care. Hey, little mid-season grades. Hopefully you guys liked him again this year. Sorry, no Coach Trev. We'll see what's going on next week. We love you as we sneak towards the trade deadline, and we'll start mixing in some other sports a little bit more. But it really is baseball season right now, people. See ya, Celebrity All-Star softball game. I'm going to hit one for you guys. Promise. Scared. Thank you. Love.